So, what did you think? Yeah, signify with a round of applause. Average, not bad, watchable. Fantastic. And let's just get going and bring out the director of the film, Stephen McCallum. Stephen. Now, just to get a rough idea, there are a lot of questions waiting to be answered, so I just want to know how much to barrel on a bit. Do people have a lot of questions?
Just start with you, mate.
We'll get to
Everyone's
that.
shy until you get started.
Just firstly, let's just start just generally, how did you get involved in this film?
The producer, Michael Ponton, and I went to film school together a couple of years ago now, and he sent me the script, and at film school I did a short film called Six Straws, which was an Australian colonial convict thriller, and similar sort of vibe. It was pretty gritty and visceral, and when he got Matt's script, he thought I'd be a pretty good match for it. So I did a director's treatment of what I thought the film could be, and one of the first things I did was modernise it. It was originally set in the 70s and was more like gangs all fighting against each other for power, and I suggested we put all the conflict in one club, like a house divided, make it more Shakespearean and amplify the female characters was a big note of mine as well.
What is the main difference? Sorry, what's the main difference between the portrayal of the women in the 70s version of the screenplay as compared to how it ended up?
Look, they were kind of like handbags in the original script, to be honest with you. I don't think Matt would mind me saying that. They just weren't present, you know. They were accessories, and I wanted to delve into them being far more present and far more.
They are.
Yeah, so, I mean, like they're the main characters. Really, if you watch the film again, they're really driving the entire thing.
Well, they're absolutely, they're hyper aware of the power structure that they're within and how to manipulate it. Also, just in terms of the screenplay, is that they are actually the plot engines. They actually drive the plot in terms of just incidents.
The protagonists.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you, okay, that's the why. So that's the how you got involved in it. What about the why? Was there a particular reason or a particular motive that made you want to make a film like this, which is not an art house film?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing from the script, and you know, we did develop the script quite heavily, but the main thing that was always at the core was a story about a man that has to choose between his brother and his father, and at its heart, it's really a family film, not a kids film, not an animation, you know, but it's a story about family and loyalty and blood and betrayal, and those themes really struck with me, and they were things that never really left me. And when you take on a project, you know, it's going to take up at least a year of your life, so you've got to make sure you connect with it, I feel, anyway.
Now, I understand that a lot of research went into this film. Can you give us just an example of macro research that addressed the big picture of the clubs and their rivalry and the characters, and an example of micro research? For instance, the way that the women held their cigarettes. I mean, you have to be a woman in a bikie gang to hold a cigarette like that. Can you just give us an example of each type of research?
Yeah, well, so on the macro research, I mean, it's obviously, it's based, I always go into all these things trying to research as much as possible, but at the same time, I'm taking elements to create my own world. I mean, this isn't a documentary, this is a heightened version of a world that is a version of what happens in real life, but this is far more heightened and contained. I mean, this sort of, I don't know, maybe things like this, you know, actually do happen in bike clubs, but this is more of this could have been set really 1,000 years ago in a Scottish clan, or it could have been set in a cult. You know, it's more of a universal story that happens to be told in a bikie club. But in terms of trying to get the world right, you know, first of all, I read every book I could and watched every documentary I could, but nothing beats actually meeting real people that are actually members of clubs or ex-members of clubs. So I did a lot of that and met with various guys and attended lots of clubs. Met guys that are current members and you know, and in the leadership groups at various clubs as well. So they were all really helpful. And you know, the biggest thing that you get isn't the difference between them and me. You know, I obviously don't look like I'm in a bikie club at all. But it's the similarities. You know, at their heart, these people are family people, and you know, have all their loves and hopes and dreams and hurt as much as anyone. And that's what really attracted me to it.
Now, one of the I guess one of the great untold stories about film production is the issue of permits. And I'm very keen to know what kind
Well,
of
you wanted to know
clearance-
about the cigarettes, didn't you?
Oh, well, just a little bit.
Oh,
because
Simone
it's-
Kessel and Abby Lee brought all that. I walked around with a cigarette and said, "This is what I would do," and they just threw it out. I didn't hold it tough enough.
I've always said that when you look for signs of authenticity in a performance, it's not really the big sort of loud moments that you're really looking for. It's the small details. And the bit where Abby Lee is smoking the cigarette, she's pinching it. And after she has her confrontation, she then just flicks it away. And that's something that you got to know, you got to learn.
Well, that's good casting, and then that's just their instincts. So I can't take any credit for that. But
and listen, and just on those two women, they're extraordinary performances. Abby Lee, I think, is going to be surprising everyone because she was a model, and she puts in such a compelling performance in this. Can you just tell us a bit about how you cast them and what they were like to direct?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of wonderful to direct. Wonderful collaborators, but also really demanding. So part of me goes, actors can be a pain in the ass at sometimes, but it's always from a place of love. So they were both so committed and so passionate about their characters, and rehearsals were really kind of pretty fiery actually between the two of them. So they brought a lot of that character into the rehearsals, which was great. Casting them, Abby was relatively unknown in terms of acting. She's known from her modelling. She was in Mad Max and Neon Demon, and I cast her from an interview she did about Neon Demon. I just thought the way she handled herself, I really found her really mysterious and engaging, and had a real strong presence. And then Simone is just like a force of nature, and she's got connections to that world. So her sister actually ran around with One Percenters, and so she's very familiar with that world. So she brought a real history and an authenticity to it.
Now, a common complaint among directors is lack of rehearsal time that they have. Do you feel that you had enough rehearsal time with these people?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I only had a week, but
you only had a week.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
You got these performances out of a week's rehearsal.
Yeah, but that's a luxury.
You don't lie in front of these people, man.
No, it's a week's worth.
That's extraordinary.
Oh, thanks.
Well, most plays get 3 weeks.
Oh,
that's extraordinary.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Let's get more rehearsal time.
More rehearsal time for Australian feature filmmakers. Yeah.
Definitely. The rehearsal was for me the most critical part of the film, because you're getting to meet the actors and get get themselves put into the characters. I mean, I'd say over half the dialogue's improvised. So the script was really strong, but Maddie was really great at handing it over to me and allowing me to work with the actors and himself. He improvised more than anyone, to take the heart of it, but then to say it in their own voice, which I like. I'd hate it when actors just act. I like to be surprised. I like things that are unpredictable. So it's just a matter of balancing that by using that but harnessing it, letting the wild animal out, but trying to coax it back into the cage a bit.
Now, did you adopt a certain approach in regards to the portrayal of the violence in the film? Did you have lines that you did not want to cross?
Well, yeah. I didn't want anyone getting killed, but I didn't want anybody getting seriously hurt. The actors all wanted to go there in terms of violence. So the way we shot everything was, it's all based from performance out. So a lot of the acting on screen was rehearsed, and we'd film entire takes. So that allows actors to bounce off each other. It provides, hopefully a naturalistic performance. And so we had to take that approach to the violence as well. So, for instance, when the young guy's getting initiated, those were complete takes of him getting punched. And, as much as you try with stunt coordinators, not all punches are pulled. And he took quite a few hits and hit the ground. But he wanted to commit. Same with the girls when they're in the container, dragging each other by their hair. It was pretty full on. But the actors really. It was just the spirit of the film, and a lot of that was driven by Matt, and it just all felt right. But I never put an actor in danger.
No, I wasn't implying that you would. I wasn't implying that you would do that. But this, in terms of how it was going to look on screen, because it looks pretty full on.
I wanted it to feel real, and I wanted full on. If it wasn't full on, we go again. And so it had to feel real. consequently, we don't actually see a lot of violence on screen. I mean,
Well,
you
this is,
don't-
yeah.
But it feels like you do. As part of hopefully the audience imagining it a bit as well.
Yeah, the way it was framed and the way it was cut certainly gives the impression that a lot of the scenes are extremely violent. But seeing it a third time, I actually noticed how little blood and how little real, fist-to-face connection there actually is in the film. So kudos to your editor.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, she did an amazing job.
Now, one of the common complaints we get in modern cinema today is there's just too much swearing. Too much swearing. Because a lot of it feels forced. Sometimes you're watching some girly, one of those girl comedies from America, the girls behaving badly comedies, and they're swearing left, right and centre, and it really feels like they're being told to swear a certain amount so it feels authentic, and it actually comes across feeling phony. But in this film, the swearing just sounds like the blue notes in music.
Yeah, like how we fucking talk,
Yeah.
It's not, people don't, the thing I hate with Aussie TV is when people go, oh, you fucking bloody bastard, it's like, nobody says that, do they? So it's like, swear words are just used like any word as colour. Hopefully that's, it's just the way people talk. It wasn't hard. I think we should have had more swearing in there, really.
Well, just the way, for instance, the way that Nux swore. It was just like this the way that he's spoken his entire life.
Oh.
I mean, a little bit like the characters in Goodfellas. When they swear, I mean, that film holds some sort of record for the amount of F-bombs in it. But you don't watch the film thinking, boy, there are a lot of F-bombs in this film, because of the naturalistic way that it's delivered. And the same applies here. It's just, when Nuck is seeing his girl into the ambulance, and obviously out of frame, some ambo's trying to interfere with him, and he goes, fuck off, cunt! And you just think, well, he's just saying, excuse me, please go away. But it just comes out so naturally.
Yeah, I think we broke the C-bomb count in this one, but that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I really should apologise. I really should have done a pre-warning that I was going to...
Say cunt.
I was going to drop in the C-bomb. I'm sorry, that was, of course, in quotation
We just heard it a million times,
man.
I'm sure these guys are not squeamish now after that, so yeah.
Well, these days you've just got to be so careful.
Of course, yeah.
Just in case. Now, the film has been picked up for distribution in the United States by the Disney Channel. No, can you just tell us a bit about the sale that you got in America?
Yeah. Well, so we were lucky enough to go to Toronto International Film Festival at the end of last year. Yeah, about this time last year, and we sold the film pretty much everywhere, which was great. Because I wasn't sure how it would translate, to international audiences, but they really dug in and had a lot of buzz. And we sold to a company called A24, which you'd probably see if you come to this cinema. There's a lot of A24 films. They're a really amazing production company and distributor based out of New York. And I'm really excited to see how they market it. Yeah.
Now, one of the big water cooler topics of the day is leadership. Everyone's talking about leadership, about what makes a good leader, what makes a bad leader. And this film very much addresses the issue of the qualities that make good leaders and bad leaders.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much about the Liberal Party. Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to ask that one of the great things about cinema is that obviously when the films are made, the filmmakers have no idea what is going to happen, what's going to be happening when the film actually comes out. And this film actually appears to be quite timely. Whatever political context you want to sort of read into it, is actually quite an interesting commentary on the difference between leaders who think they own an organisation, which is the Nuck character, and leaders who actually see themselves as the stewards of something, that it's their job to actually make sure that things grow and improve for everybody, so that when they leave, or when they change leaders, that they're giving a better thing to the next leader, and that seems to be the Paddo character.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I mean, it's Nuck rules with an iron fist, and Paddo empowers the men, and it's ambition versus, well, not ambition, but it's tradition versus the new wave coming in, the old bull versus the young buck, and they butt heads. But just before we started rolling on this film, we were, I think Trump just got in the day before we started shooting, so I was like, oh fuck, that's a bad omen. And it was also before Me Too as well, and the film is pretty clearly dealing with toxic masculinity, so it was interesting how all that stuff's really come to the fore in the last couple of years, rightly so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a term that is getting overused at the moment, but in the context of this film, it really does show that when it's applied to power and the single-minded pursuit of power, that does become toxic, not just for the person involved, but for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we have any questions from this wonderful audience? Sir?
What inspired the gay part of Nuck's character?
You'd have to ask Matt that, but one of the things we did in research, that actual aspect of the story came out a little bit later in the development process. It wasn't always written like that. We researched into a number of different leaders of pretty brutal gangs around the world, and one of them was this African leader who was in prison, and one of the ways he maintained power was to fuck guys in power and to essentially rape them in power. And when interviewed about that, the interviewer said, so, when did you realise you were homosexual? And the guy was just taken back. And he's like, I'm not homosexual, I'm not gay, I do that because I'm the king. And quite seriously did it as a means of exercising power in an environment where he was getting removed power. And I think there's an aspect of that to Nuck that at least gets unlocked in prison. That's from my point of view anyway. Yeah.
I think you could almost say that if someone like Nuck finds himself in a situation where the best way of asserting his power, say, was to play pinochle or was to do card tricks, he'd become an expert in that. Whatever the means to power, he will take it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's absolutely single-minded in just being top dog, alpha dog. Yeah.
Any other questions, please? Somebody? Yes. Gentleman up the back.
Jim, I believe you're going to ask earlier about permits.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
And also, I just wanted to ask what you shot it on. What was the format you shot on?
Okay, yeah, you did get out of that quite quickly, but firstly, what did you shoot on?
I was really wanting to dodge that permits.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's the one I never want to answer, permits, you mean for all those bikers going down and we had to close off the road?
Yeah. But, it's hard to get permits. I knew very early on, I'm from Perth, so I had particular ideas in my mind of where I wanted to shoot. And, going through the Northbridge Tunnel, which is the opening shot of the film, which wasn't in the script, so we kind of had a day aside where producers didn't quite know what we were filming, and a lot of that was the riding shots, because I just knew we needed lots of riding shots, and I was like, would it be great to put 40 Harleys through the Northbridge Tunnel at night, and we put in the permit early enough, and I still can't believe they let us shoot that, actually.
Were they generally cooperative when it came to permits? Did you get the sense they wanted to help you?
No, yeah, they were pretty good. We had a really good locations manager that was just really sweet and managed, just said, we're just putting a couple of bikes through the tunnel, and we had cops called a couple of times, actually.
One or two. Well, I guess that was the other thing that, you see a lot of bikers together and you're likely to have normal citizens who don't know what's going on.
And you hear gunshots and things. Yeah, we had cops called to the house because they thought there was they saw 15 Harleys riding, guys in colours, and then heard shotguns going off. So we did do a letterbox drop, but we couldn't afford to do all of Mount Worley. So
and what did you shoot on?
Oh, an Alexa Mini. So we had the whole film's done on one camera, in 25 days, and we shot on. Shelley's going to kill me if I don't get this right. Master Primes, I think.
Yeah.
So whatever they shot Sicario on, we said, that's good enough for them, that's good enough for us.
This is a one-camera shoot, and you shot all principal photography in 25 days.
Yeah.
There needs to be an award given out by ACTA.
I'll take it,
About what filmmakers, it's one of the most I report it as much as I can, but it's a very unheralded talent that Australian filmmakers have. I mean, the film Last Cab to Darwin, for instance, was shot in a tiny amount of time across Australia. And when I found out that they shot that film on a $1.3 million budget, I thought Jeremy Sims, the director, was lying to me. But it's extraordinary. I mean, just briefly, what accounts for the ability to do that? Do you just have a great crew who have all agreed on what page they're on in the script of what's going on when? Is it just about tight production? How do you do it?
A bit. I mean, we were kind of because what we did was we went into it, we knew it was going to be one camera, so we lit the sets 360 degrees. So if I'm, we've got, say you guys are all bikies, and I don't know which way the actors are going to be facing, we lit so we were able to move the camera wherever we wanted and follow actors if they decided to move, because I didn't want to restrict them. So doing that was a really helpful way of doing it, and then just moving fast and just, yeah, that was, we went in with that philosophy to move fast, shoot fast, keep the energy in the takes, and embrace actors improvising.
I mean, just from my experience here with interviewing A-list directors, any of them who hear stories like that, I'm sure they'd faint. But I'm also sure that any producers in the United States or elsewhere, but anyone who hears the conditions under which you shot this film, might come knocking on your door very quickly, unless that's already happened.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, they might go, oh, that's really amazing, but at the same time, we had producers that were really, you know, Michael and Jamie were amazing at just letting me do my thing. You know, I didn't have producers going, oh, you know, maybe Skink should have a little bit less hair on the front of his head, or, you know, just getting in the way of just stupid, piddly bullshit. And so we were able to move fast because the producers were very generous with allowing me to do that. So I don't know if that would work in
the States.
I haven't filmed there, but yeah.
I guess what I meant was, when this film shows in America, if it hasn't happened already, well, once it shows in America, that American producers have a habit of picking up the phone after they see a film and saying, get me in touch with this director no one's ever heard of, because I've got a $30 million film I'd like them to consider shooting.
Oh man, you can be my agent. That sounds good. Yeah.
Other questions, please? Sir. Sir.
No,
Yeah, gentleman here.
yes, I thought the suspense was really good all the way through the film, and especially when you did the approach to the house, and the inside in the house and the bikers approaching. That was fantastic. I thought you had on the edge of your seat. I thought, how did you set up something like that, or think you're doing it the way you did it?
Yeah, I always wanted it to be really tense, and a lot of it is just drawing out those moments where they're waiting, and you know, the film, I kind of describe it sometimes like it's a Nirvana song. It's either shouting or it's really quiet. Like, it's so quiet sometimes, you know, where you're kind of leaning in and then suddenly there's gunshots, and I think that helps with the tension, but it's just really, yeah, just trusting your instincts with milking those moments to get the audience. And it's a weird thing as well, because I see it now and it's hard for me to know, you know, those work, because I've seen it so many times, and but yeah, that's, you know, that's generally the common response.
And it's all the way through the film too. It's not that's not the
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, I think another example of what you're talking about, sir, when you're talking about the finesse of direction, and again, kudos to you for making this film in such a short space of time, but the moment where Pato is in the room and his brother is lying asleep on the couch, and this is after the big event has happened, and he picks up that cushion, and you just think, what's he going to do with that cushion? I mean, I'm presuming that was delivered.
That's all deliberate.
This is, you know, what.
And that's one of those things that you're crossing your fingers going, I really hope the audience, I mean, I'm asking a lot of the audience in this film in terms of, like, we don't spell everything out. Like, it's very little exposition. There's a lot of things left off screen for the audience to get, and those are moments, and, you know, the tension moments of them riding there. You're hoping an audience, you know, because they're the types of films I like to make, so I can only like make the film that I would like to make, you know.
Can I just ask quickly, did everybody get that moment?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Now, this film opens next week.
Yeah.
Now, lucky you that you're not opening this week, because there's a small American art house film called First Man coming
no
out.
one's going to see that.
Yeah, now, Neil Armstrong there are landing on the moon.
They don't have stubby holders.
Yeah. and I think you'd actually have to live on the moon to not know that it's opening this week.
But the next week we've got
But then
Star is Born.
Next week you've got A Star is Born opening opposite
which is the
you.
same genre as this.
And also the same thing, you'd have to be living on the moon to not know that the film is opening. Now, these are big American films. They always come out with this mega tonnage of marketing. That is never going to change. Unless the studio systems collapse, you are always going to have the situation in Australia. How does a small film like this cope with that kind of opposition? What can you do marketing-wise to get the word out?
Well, I mean, you do your best, I suppose. I mean, I'll be able to answer that better once the films come out, and hopefully people go into the cinema and see it. It's getting harder and harder these days to get people like you guys to actually come to a cinema and watch a film. I think that this film really benefits from being seen in a cinema, with the sound, and it's quite an immersive film, I feel. But yeah, I think all you can do is kind of market it, like hopefully the poster feels like the film, and the trailer is really great, and social media can be a really great advantage these days for getting word out on the street. But I still think you need to combine that with traditional, posters, TV, outdoor advertising. So Icon's been really good at putting the film out there, and it'll really ramp up next week as well.
Now, just as a hypothetical, would you have liked the budget on this film, the production budget on this film, to have been also the marketing budget on the film?
Oh, yeah.
For someone to come and say, okay,
To double the budget of the film?
Yeah.
And put the rest in marketing?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, that'd be great.
Mm.
I would like to get doing all those first man adverts and, I guess, why would you turn down that? That sounds,
well, exactly.
that
That's why I'm saying is that as a hypothetical, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, I'd rather use that money to market the film. So because I'd love nothing more than for people to see the film, and whether you like it or not. I mean, not everyone's going to like the film. It's not for everybody, and that's obvious. But I think people that at least go to the cinema will be hopefully affected by it, one way or the other, and hopefully it's a film that stays with you. And marketing to get people into the cinema, because you're competing, especially these days, with so much noise.
Yeah.
It's not a reality TV show. Although we can market it as that.
I've always said just have some TV ads for films run 3 to 4 weeks before the opening of the film, which is pretty much standard practice with all the big American films, and you'll get some sort of imprint on people when they go to the foyer. They'll say, oh, well, I know that film, and it looks pretty interesting from the ads, I'll go see it. But that's probably a topic for another time. Do we have any other questions, sir?
Just wondering, the ending is sort of open for interpretation with Pato's girlfriend. Either it was an accident that they all ended up dying and she became boss, or are you hinting and suggesting that she set it up from the beginning and that was her plan to get Weber, or whatever it was, to be her sort of lackey and finally finish it?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's sort of clear moments at the very beginning of the film where she's sort of negotiating with Sugar, and she's the seeds laid all throughout the film. It's not clear, but yeah, it's certainly the intention that she's a lot more than she appears at the start, at the end, She certainly didn't just come out of nowhere and just decide to be the leader of a bikie club. Yeah.
So more of a convenient accident?
No, it's not a convenient accident, it's by design.
Oh, so it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She was a bitch, wasn't she? Isn't she incredible? Any other questions, sir?
Have you shown it to any bikies? What did they say?
Yeah, I mean, most of the extras are bikies, or ex-club members. They're kind of, it's a bit hard because half the time they're looking for themselves on the screen. Because but the guys will really love the film. They do have, I don't know about that. That bit's a bit bullshit, or this bit. Yeah, that bit was really great. But overall, they've been responded really well. We did have a fella that was an ex-Mump Centre advisor on the film, like a military advisor, and he was like really stoked with the way that the clubs were portrayed. The thing is, as well, the clubs are so different as well. It's hard to we, purposefully made it our own club so that it didn't feel like it was drawing too much on any one. Established club. It's also kind of not clear what the time period is that we're setting it in as well. The bikie clubs today are quite different to that club.
Yes, sir.
We sort of grew fond of the Big Mary guy. I'm just wondering, he
Oh,
got shot. Is he going to be in the next
I think he'll be okay, mate. Yeah. The Big
Yeah.
Mary guy. Yeah, I like him too. But one of the funny things is, because you make the film, you don't realise how much people will react to certain characters, and every time he gets shot, everyone's like, oh, I really liked him. And he audiences really dig him, so yeah, I like to think he's still alive, maybe.
You didn't kill him, so it's good. That
Yeah.
door's open.
Yeah, door's open on him. Everyone else is dead, but he might be.
Yes, gentleman up there.
Did your relationship with Matt and Abel ever kind of mirror the relationship between Matt and Patty?
I thought you were going to say, did it mirror between him and Noisy, the poor accountant character? Sometimes, yeah. Did it mirror like me and Pato?
Yeah, was there ever, because Matt wrote the script, did he ever have a moment of being like, this is my script?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a really good question, I've got to say. That's a really good question, because I did at times sort of see myself in that role. But to be honest with you, Matt was so generous. Like, he handed that script over when we went to shooting, because, I mean, to get a performance like that, you need to inhabit that character, and you know, it took him a long time to recover from that role as well. But you know, it's his baby. He wrote the whole thing, and he certainly had opinions in the edit. And you know, I cut quite a lot of scenes with Matt in it, and he's like, "What the fuck do you cut that? You know, that's great. That's my fucking Logie." So I'm like, he didn't say that, but you know, I was like, because it's not your story, man. You know, like, it's Pato's story. It's like it's the brother's story, and you know, so there were moments like that where the assemble cut of the film was over 2 hours long, and it's 93 minutes long. Yeah, that's what happens when you do improvised dialogue. You know, people, you know, that are verbose, just, you know, love to tread the boards in front of the camera. But no, Matt was really, really supportive, but we did have moments where, you know, you had to be pretty strong with him about story over ego.
Yeah.
No questions? Yes?
Hi. Stephen, thank you. It was a really well written, well directed, well acted, well cast. And thank you for making the women strong and independent.
My pleasure. Thank you for saying that. That's the greatest thrill I have is women coming up to me and saying they love the film. So
yeah, it was really refreshing to see. My question is actually not for you; it's for the interviewer.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify a point that you said earlier.
Oh gosh, I probably got it wrong. What did I say?
Stephen,
about the permits?
no, you can rest easy with your
Oh,
permits.
okay.
Stephen mentioned that the film started shooting before Trump, before Me Too, and showed, I think your words were something about violent or poisonous or toxic masculinity. You said, and you said something about that term as being thrown around a lot. Could you please clarify for me what you meant?
We're just hearing it everywhere. I mean, you know, it really is probably another topic. It might be a topic for the foyer, but you just hear that and just a lot of terms being used.
I just wanted to point out that there is a reason, and a lot of women.
Oh yes. No, again, got to be so careful what you say these days. There is an absolute.
The Me Too movement.
No, there's an absolute legitimate use.
Thank you.
Let me make absolutely clear.
Stephen, for what you've done, and thank you.
Yeah, there is an absolute legitimate use of that term, and in a legitimate context, and this is one of those contexts. So yes, but you know, when you see, you know, two guys having an argument, that's not toxic masculinity. But
yeah, no,
and again,
I thought you meant Me Too movement and not toxic masculinity.
No, I didn't even know. Again, I didn't mention Me Too.
Yeah.
God bless them all.
No, but yeah, no, that was something that was really, because when I look at what attracts me about this film was subculture, and like, you know, in the same way Romper Stomper appealed to me in subculture, and it's a world that I didn't know, but I could see myself being attracted to it, and it's a really abrasive, toxic, viscerally nasty world, but you can see as a man, you can see the attraction to wanting rite of passage. And I saw the same thing in this, and I wanted to kind of show that, right? But at the same time, I saw that Matt might not have quite seen as much as me in that at the time, but it was just interesting how much in the last 2 years that's been brought to the front, which is fucking great. You know, I'm so happy. Women know about this, but yeah, I don't think a lot of men did until recently, so we just weren't listening.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to know, were there any hilarious synchronicities that played out on set? Which was your favourite scene to film, and what's your kind of directional style? How did you get the best performances? I know you improvise a lot, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's risky in terms of, with directional style, I really throw it over to the actors to give me their first impression of what the scene is, and then I'll shape it from there. But I really rely on my actors to give me stuff that will surprise me, so I'm always looking to be surprised, and then just shape it. And if you cast well, the actors will do that, and then everything else revolves around that performance. So we didn't storyboard anything in this whole film, so we set the scene, rehearse it, we get to the day, do another quick block through, and then that would be the first time Shelley would see it, and you'd be like, okay, how do we shoot this? And so, which sounds like it would slow things down, but it actually speeds things up a lot. So that's my directing style. And then synchronicities?
Yeah. I said, was there any hilarious synchronicities or anything that just kind of... were the stars aligned for you, or do things kind of go awry?
Oh, stars aligning.
or
Oh.
anything?
I'll have to come back.
Serendipity moments,
Yeah.
anything like that?
Serendipity moments. Yeah, when Motu's firing the shotgun over the fence when the bikes are all arriving, our gun didn't work,
Oh.
and the only take it worked is the one that's in there. So I suppose that's a synchronicity. And yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, pretty much every single take and every single shot was a miracle, to be honest with you. So yeah. Yeah, I'll have a think on it. I'll get back to you on that one.
And I'll just end on a note which is a tribute to the authenticity that you and Matt Noble put into this film, and that is those wonderfully human moments just before the shootout, where certain members just basically say, "This is not what I signed up for," and they get on their bikes and they piss off.
Yeah, that's like, you know, it's
Wonderful celebration of cowardice.
it's
I
a
loved it.
great club to belong to until you're put into you know, a situation where you're suddenly shooting one of your best mates, and yeah, there was like, you know, you had to have that real moment. Like poor Noisy's, he's had quite a ride, hasn't he? The accountant, you know, he just thought it was all great, and then suddenly he's
Just double time boss.
being used as a human shield again. Yeah, so yeah, I thought that was important to show the humanity of it all. I wasn't interested in it just being a bravado piece.
Okay, mate. Listen, thank you so much
Yeah, no
for
worries.
this film. Just thank Stephen McCallum.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Stephen.